Hey everyone, welcome back to another PNSO review. Today we're going to take a look at Anthony, the Styracosaurus. Another day, another PNSO release. They sure love keeping us busy with our wallets with their pretty much weekly releases. Now, Styracosaurus is a very popular dinosaur species, especially among toy companies. It is the second most produced ceratopsian figure, right next to Triceratops. And it's about time PNSO gave a crack at this species. I ended up ordering this figure from PNSO's AliExpress store. Retails for around $36. I prefer ordering it from their AliExpress store because they don't charge you shipping. If you order it from their Amazon storefront, you get charged between like $6 and $10 for shipping. So I always go the AliExpress route to save me a few bucks, especially the way they release figures. It's good to save money. And I'll leave a link down below in the description to their AliExpress store if you want to order this figure for yourself. So let's take a look at the packaging that Anthony comes in. This is part of the Prehistoric Animal Models line. He is number 59. Holy crap, we are almost at 60 with these figures. That is pretty crazy. Got a nice picture of Anthony on the front. On the top of the box, you have a picture of Anthony's head. And inside the packaging, you do get a pretty... oh, that's Jenny's. Sorry, still had it on the table from the last review. Here's Anthony's. And then inside we have some pictures of Anthony the Styracosaurus, you know, blah, blah, blah. Some more stuff, how to draw it, I guess. So yeah, you know, if you like the booklet, save a booklet, it'll keep you busy. And then inside, you know, I love these Prehistoric Animal Model releases because you only get one poster, mercifully, because I'm just not happy when I have to show them all off when it comes with the museum line figures. And inside... let's see if I can zoom out just a tad bit. You know, my studio lights are going to make this all pretty glary. This is actually not even an illustration. This is looks like it's a model. This must be from like their like premium like resin figures line, and looks pretty good. And yeah, and it looks like absolute crap because the way I'm holding it on this review. So sorry about that. My studio lights throw off a lot of glare. So anyways, let's pop Anthony up on the turntable and take a closer look. So let's start with a nice 360-degree view of Anthony. Another great figure from PNSO. That's one thing about them. You will always get a very well-researched, accurate-looking figure if you get one from them. You know, the paint schemes, that's pretty much everyone's issue with their releases, are never on par with the promotional images. But I will say on the Styracosaurus, the main body paint matches very closely to what it looks like on the prototype. Has a lot of fine details on it. You know, from a distance, the details on these figures look pretty soft, but when you get up close, they're loaded with lots of fine detail. Now, the paint on the head is not as good as the rest of the body. It does not look like the promotional images. I know, big shocker. And because it's not painted so well, it makes those details on the face look really, really soft. But like I said, when you get up close, there's a lot of nice detail in there. If the paint was a little bit better, it would make all that nice detail pop on there. The horns on the frill that Styracosaurus is known for are beautifully sculpted. It's really a great figure. You know, most figures that PNSO release are everyone's quintessential, you know, version of that species, and I think it's safe to say that the Styracosaurus will be a lot of people's quintessential Styrac in their collection. And let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure is 6.5 inches long from the tip of the tail to the tip of the snout, and 4 inches tall to the tallest spike on that frill. So Styracosaurus in real life was around 18 feet long. So I put this figure somewhere in the 133 scale range. So if you collect 135 scale, the figure is going to fit nicely into your collection. Now let's take a closer look at all the fine details on Anthony, starting with that beautiful head sculpt. Now, Styracosaurus had a very straight nose horn and is beautifully sculpted on this figure. And, you know, once you get in close, there's some really fine details on here. I love the growth rings that PNSO is sculpting on their ceratopsian horns. They started with their new Triceratops, and it's also on their Centrosaurus, and now the Styracosaurus has that. I think that is a really, really neat touch. You can actually see a couple little cracks on the nose horn. Like I said, once you get up close, there's some really, really fine details on their figures. You know, from a distance, they look kind of soft and plain, but up close, that is some nice detail right there. The eye is painted bright orange with a black pupil. You know, like I said, the paint on the face could be a little bit better. Like I said, the body is much nicer, but I just wish the paint was a little better on here so you can make out more of the details like the beak and the mouth. You can see the nostril sculpting right here, and there's actually just a tiny bit of pink paint on there. The tip of the beak is painted in black. Here's some black up here, mix it in with some browns and a little bit of pink. Then you have a little bit of red for the ornamentation above the eye. And now looking at it from the front, now when I first got this figure out, this ornamentation on the side right here, I've never seen that on any of these Styracosaurus figures that I have, and there is a lot of them. So I always know PNSO does, extensive research when they're sculpting their figures. So after a little bit of digging, this figure, just like last couple of their figures, are based on an American Museum of Natural History specimen, which is their Styracosaurus. I think it's specimen number 5372. So that's really cool that they're giving us figures from specific specimens. And back in the day with the American Museum of Natural History specimen, it was considered a different species of Styracosaurus. I think it was Styracosaurus parksy, but later it's been debunked that most paleontologists accept it as the type species Styracosaurus albertensis. So yeah, that's definitely a really cool touch. The only thing is with that American Museum Styracosaurus specimen, a lot of the head was reconstructed in plaster, and in the original paper that described it, I think it was like from like the 1930s, it didn't specify which parts were made of plaster and which one is bone, so maybe this is still speculative, but who knows. I didn't read the paper. I'm just going by what I found on Wikipedia. And you do have some nice, black and red markings on the fenestra. You can see all really nice scale detail, nice row of large spikes running up the middle of the frill. The horns are nicely painted. Like I keep saying, the head paint could be a little bit better. And taking a look at those horns on the head, those came out really, really great. Let's just zoom out just a tiny bit on them. And they are made out of soft, flexible plastics. You have to worry about these breaking off. Just be careful how you store them. Don't be like an idiot like me and throw everything in a friggin' bin. There'll just be a ton of figures sitting on it, and these things will be warped to holy hell. And then going down to the back of the head right here, you can see the ear canal is sculpted in. The detail on the back of the frill is pretty soft. I wish they'd pay a little bit more attention back there. That is scale detail. It should be a little bit more defined. And then going down to the rest of the body, I think the paint job looks pretty close to the promotional images that PNSO puts out. They're definitely getting a little bit closer. Still have a little bit ways to go, especially for the prices they charge. It's a small figure. It's a 6.5-inch figure, and it's $36. If this came out from like Safari or Collector, it'll probably be half the price. And I think that's why PNSO gets a lot of criticism. The prices are kind of high, and we expect a little bit more from them for paying that price. And then going down to the front legs, you see the front legs are nicely sculpted. You have a little bit of a pink wash underneath the throat and along the belly. You got some large belly scales on there. Some nice detail on the undersides of the feet. And then turn the figure over, you get a nice wide body with wide hips. You got some large osteoderms mixed in there, some striping along the back, mixed in with all nice fine scale detail. Going down to the thighs are big and muscular. You get some nice folds and wrinkles around the thighs. The toe claws are painted a glossy brown color. And then turn it over here, and we always have to do our dinosaur butthole check on the channel. And there it is, a nice cloaca slit. And then going down to the very short tail, you have more of that black striping, mixed in with a little bit green and brown. And even from the back, you got a nice, junk in the trunk Styracosaurus right here with those wide hips and really beefy looking thighs. So yeah, a really, really nice Styracosaurus figure. I think this is gonna be a lot of people's, quintessential Styracosaurus in their collection, and it's also gonna be my quintessential from my collection. Now, moving on to comparisons, let's start it off with comparing this figure next to some Styracosaur figures from other companies. First up, here it is with Collecte's Deluxe Styracosaurus, which is still a fantastic figure, and I think it actually costs less than PNSO's, and it's twice the size. Just throwing that out there. And next up, here it is with Papo's Styracosaurus. Absolutely love that figure. It just has so much character and life. What the hell happened to Papo? They're just like pretty much non-existent now. The field got really, really crowded, and I don't think they care about dinosaur figures anymore, with what they've given us the last couple years. And let's move the Papo one off to the side. And here it is with Safari Limited Styracosaurus. Doug Watson does fantastic ceratopsian figures, and the Styracosaurus is also a great figure. So, when it comes to the species, there's a lot of options out there. Like I said, it is the second most produced ceratopsian figure next to Triceratops. And let's move the safari one off to the side. And next up, here it is with the beast of the Mesozoic Styracosaurus, which is 1/18 scale. I'm so happy that they're Dave is going to go back and repaint this into Old Buck. If you don't know what Old Buck is, it is an amazing dinosaur short film that's animated. It's on Dead Sound on YouTube. I'll actually leave a link to that down below in the description. It's just a great dinosaur series, and they put a lot of love into those cartoons. And now let's compare it to some dinosaur park formation species, which is where Styracosaurus is found. Here it is with PNSO's Lambeosaurus, and next up, here it is with Safari Limited Daspletosaurus. I really hope Safari does a Daspletosaurus in the near future. It's one of my favorite Tyrannosaurus species. And next up, here it is with PNSO's Parasaurolophus. And lastly, for dinosaur park formation comparisons, here it is with their Corythosaurus. I'm not even going to bother standing it because this thing is an unstable pile of garbage. And next up, can't do PNSO comparisons without comparing it next to Wilson. And lastly, here it is with the rest of PNSO Ceratopsian. They are giving us some really great variety. They're definitely giving Safari a run for their money. Safari has a very diverse Ceratopsian lineup, and so does Collecte. But all these figures scale pretty well with each other, so they look great on a display shelf. So here we have their new Triceratops, which is based on the American Museum of Natural History specimen, Machairoceratops, Sinoceratops, Centrosaurus, Spinops, and Pachyrhinosaurus. And I like all their ceratopsian figures. Yeah, I know, the quality of the paint and everything with PNSO. It's always a talking point anytime we have to review PNSO figures. It's kind of up and down across the board. I think their Pachyrhinosaurus, which, look at it. It is the same size as the Styracosaurus. This thing cost $22 when it came out, I think a year and a half or 2 years ago. So yeah, the inflation on their figures is it's just so hard to swallow. And I say it every time I review them. Yeah, we all keep buying them because they are great figures. They are very well researched. They're very accurate. Most of us that collect them, we're accuracy freaks. But we always complain about the price, but we keep buying them. But it is what it is. I just always got to bring it up. But I think my favorite one of all the ceratopsians is the Centrosaurus. I think that figure turned out really, really great. So final thoughts on PNSO Styracosaurus. I think it's a good figure. It's very accurate. It's highly researched, and bonus points for being based on an actual specimen. The details on the body are really nice. The paint scheme pretty much matches the prototype images. Paint details on the face could be a lot better, but that's pretty much par for the course with PNSO lately. Another thing to talk about, I keep saying it, price point, it's a $36 figure. When it comes to Styracosaurus, there's a lot of options out there that are much cheaper, and they're all great figures, so that's something to keep in mind. But I can see this being everyone's main Styracosaurus figure in their collection, and it's also going to be my main figure in my collection because it's around 135 scale. It's kind of the scale I collect around. I mean, it really doesn't matter. You see what I review on the channel. I really kind of don't care what I buy, but I love displaying similar size scale figures next to each other. Now, like I said at the beginning of the review, I got this from PNSO's AliExpress store. Retails for around $36. Link is down below in the description. So that will do it for the review. The only other new thing I think I got is the GR Toys Quetzalcoatlus. That review won't be out till probably next week. I'm going away tomorrow up to New Hampshire, where I'll probably freeze to death or getting eaten by wolves or bears. So if you never hear from me again, that's what happened. So once I get back, I'll get back to reviewing. So be on the lookout for new reviews if I make it back. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously and is greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.